Members of this committee, Senator Sinema and Senator Lankford, worked incredibly hard to negotiate a bipartisan border bill this past year that would have been the most significant border bill in decades to strengthen our presence on the border. And I'd certainly like to take a moment just to thank them. Senator Lankford, Senator Sinema, thank you for your hard work in developing that compromise. Unfortunately, that compromise didn't move forward, and unfortunately, I have many colleagues who like to talk about solving a problem, but would much rather just throw rocks. It's just so much easier to throw rocks than actually solve the problem. So unfortunately, even though the bill had the potential to make substantial changes in our immigration system and would have also provided critical resources for our frontline operators, partisan politics got in the way. The rock throwers got their way, as opposed to the problem solvers. These longstanding challenges, however, are now more serious than ever, and this budget will give us a chance to actually meet them head on.
So you presided over just a disastrous border, and it isn't a matter of policy. It isn't a matter of you like open borders and we like, a more secure border. There's a law. We have a law, and you're supposed to enforce that law. And yesterday was a sad day because the majority went ahead and set the precedent that having lied to Congress, there wasn't going to be an examination of whether you lied to Congress. They were just going to simply say lying to Congress didn't rise high enough to be high crimes and misdemeanors.
Think back on the last several weeks, months, as you worked in concert with the three of my colleagues that I've mentioned, three of our colleagues whose names I've mentioned. What are some of the, as we turn the page and say, well, let's actually try to solve this problem, address this issue, and then resolve it. What are some key lessons that should emerge for us from those negotiations?
Senator Carper, the Senate negotiated bipartisan legislation would have been transformative. It would have been transformative in two primary regards. One is the provision of resources to the Department of Homeland Security and the other departments and agencies in the federal government that administer immigration law. It's not just additional Border Patrol agents and Office of Field Operations. It would have changed the system, the broken system, dramatically. One of the greatest infirmities of our current system is that it takes multiple years between the time of encounter and a final adjudication of an asylum case. The Senate negotiated bipartisan legislation would have taken that multi-year process that draws people to the United States, and it would have shrunk it to sometimes less than 90 days in duration. And that changes dramatically the risk calculation of intending migrants. It would have empowered us to use expedited removal, a speedier yet fair process for individuals not just in immigration detention, but for those outside of it as well. A transformative piece of legislation that was extremely tough, yet.
Mr. Secretary, I know that you think your policies are a success. You've sat right there in that chair and you've told me over and over our policies are working. You're on the record years and years saying that. Maybe they're working for you. Maybe they're working for your political objectives, whatever they may be, I don't know. But they're not working for Laken Riley or Travis Wolf or the people of my state. They are, in fact, a travesty. What you have done is a travesty. And, sir, it is long past time for you to go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Hassan, you're recognized for your questions.
Well, thank you, Chairman Peters and Ranking Member Paul, for this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for coming before the committee today. And let me just note that the tragedies and terrible crimes that Senator Hawley just talked about might be ones we could prevent in the future if Senator Hawley and his colleagues on the other side of the aisle had voted for a bipartisan measure that would have significantly increased our detention capacity, our personnel, would have changed policies for standards of who could seek and be granted asylum. But as the chair noted at the beginning of this hearing, there are people, it appears, who are more interested in throwing rocks than solving problems.
My question is, you said that the border was secure. What did you mean when you said the border was secure? Is that not a lie?
Senator, you've asked me now if that is a lie, and I have assured you that I have honored the oath of office that I have
In
taken.
what way was it not a lie then?
Senator, with the resources and authorities that we have, it is as secure as it can be.
This is a different group out there that's been difficult to get information about. It's a group that DHS